All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. After years of battling it out on the hardwood, guards Chris Paul and Steph Curry are set to join forces. Today, the Golden State Warriors acquired Chris Paul from the Washington Wizards in a deal that included sending Jordan Poole to DC. Now, Paul has plenty of tread on his tires as he has over 18 years under his belt as an NBA starting point guard. And it looks like the future Hall of Famer is set to come off of the bench now in San Francisco. This is another veteran for the Warriors as they look to make another championship push. And of course, one of the questions is going to be, will coming off of the bench allow CP3 to stay healthy? I mean, you think about Chris Paul's illustrious career, one of the best point guards to have ever done it in NBA history, but one of the big knocks on CP3 throughout his career has been his inability to stay healthy. And that showed up once again in the Western Conference semis this year for the Phoenix Suns, where Paul went out early in that series with an injury and he did not return. So, you think about it now for Chris Paul, he's been on the move a lot recently. Just several days ago, the Suns traded him to the Wizards in a deal for Bradley Beal. And now, after being in DC for a cup of coffee, he's headed back to the Western Conference. So now you think about it, and this is another Hall of Famer that's added to this mix. And of course, the question is going to be, will CP3 and Steph work? If it's a scenario where you got CP3 coming off of the bench, and if you can keep his minutes down and you can just have him in that 20 to 25-minute range per night, I think this is a solid pickup for the Golden State Warriors if, and of course, if Chris Paul can stay healthy. On the flip side, the Warriors have clearly given up on Jordan Poole. The productivity's been there, but to me, I think this goes back to that whole incident in training camp last year with Draymond Green, and something had to give because you just saw the lack of chemistry from this Golden State Warriors team too much this past season. The Warriors just felt like they could turn it on when they needed to, but the spark just wasn't there like it's been in years past. And of course, Draymond Green just opted out of his deal, so one would have to think that more than likely the Warriors are definitely leaning on bringing Draymond back. For Jordan Poole, though, now in Washington, he's definitely going to have the opportunity to be the featured guy as Washington is clearly in rebuild mode. Bradley Beal was traded a couple of days ago to the Suns. Kristaps Porzingis was traded to the Boston Celtics. And of course, Kyle Kuzma just opted out of his contract. So it looks like Jordan Poole is going to be the featured guy. And you're talking about a guy who had the ability to average 20 points per game with Golden State. His numbers are definitely going to go up in Washington being the featured guy for the Wizards. Now, Mike Dunleavy Jr. is looking to make his mark as a new general manager of the Warriors, and he has some very big shoes to fill as he replaces the departed Bob Myers. But for the Golden State Warriors, do they have another title run in them? And of course, they got a cap number that they got to deal with. Golden State's looking at about $200 million in salary for the upcoming season. Of course, we know what's going on with the new CBA, a lot more restrictions. So it's going to be very interesting to see the dynamic that the Warriors have for this year, especially when you have a scenario where Steph Curry is set to earn more than $50 million and Klay Thompson set to earn more than $43 million. Not to mention Chris Paul's contract, the likes of Andrew Wiggins and so forth. The talent is still there. One thing I will say about the Warriors, for me, just like I talked about earlier in the season, Golden State is still trying to play the way that they did 5 or 6 years ago when they were one of the top teams in the NBA and, of course, winning all of those championships. I think the league has caught up to them. And on top of that, the game has changed. And Golden State is trying to go out there and still just outshoot people on a nightly basis from 3-point land. I'm not a fan of them just trying to do it because it's not working like it has in the past. To me, I think the league is caught up to them. So bringing in another perimeter player, to me, it's not going to help the Warriors, in my opinion. This is a veteran team. They're more than likely going to bring Draymond Green back, so I think it's going to be very important for Warriors head coach Steve Kerr to really monitor the minutes of his club for next year, and such. But I think it looks good, but it's only going to be good if Chris Paul can stay healthy. Chris Paul has been close to a championship before, and I think his best opportunities were 2 years ago with the Suns when they got to the finals. They were up 2-0 on the Milwaukee Bucks before losing the next four. And then you go back several years ago when Chris Paul was a member of the Houston Rockets. They were up 3-2 on the Warriors in the Western Conference semis before Paul suffered that injury, missed the last two games. Golden State came back, and of course, the rest was history. But you think about the dynamic. Paul and Steph Curry, they've been battling it out for so many years in the NBA. When Paul was with the New Orleans Hornets, when Steph first came in with the Warriors, you think about those battles between the Clippers and Warriors in the playoffs, the Warriors and Rockets. Of course, they didn't meet when Chris Paul was on the Suns, but now they have an opportunity to join forces. And then, of course, another future Hall of Famer and Klay Thompson in that mix as well. So I think this is, to me, a little bit of revisionist theory for Golden State. They're trying to get it done one more time. Will this veteran bunch be able to make that title run? We've got to wait and see. But once again, CP3 looks like he's going to be front and center with possibly another opportunity to compete for an NBA championship. Will Chris Paul get that coveted title? Only time will tell. But, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.